if you want to do API testing and if you are like really focusing on getting that done, what I would do, I would try to separate that into its own project and just put my tests into the E2E. If that's not the case, then you can just create a subfolder in the E2E folder and just call it API. And then in your config or whenever you're running your tests, you can just specify which tests you want to run. So if you do like npx Cypress run and then specify with an environment variable or whatever that you only want to run API tests, you can do that. And if you don't really like the fact that this folder is called E2E and you want to have tests in here, and then inside here you split it up into E2E and API. Wait, I created a file, right? Folder API. Then you can do it like this. But then again, usually in your package.json or somewhere you need to specify some special run, right? So you do C npx Cypress run and then I don't know --env will be API what it will be API true. I don't know. I forgot how to define that, but something like that. And you will call this cy run API and run that. And this then of course needs to be handled to make sure that you're only running tests in the API folder. So it's a rather complex answer to a simple problem. So that's why I would rather keep that away from like give it a separate project instead. But of course, if you have a bunch of code that both end-to-end tests and API tests are reused, then of course it might make sense to have it in one. One thing I forgot to mention, that if you do this, if you change the name of your tests folder, then you need to go to Cypress config and make sure that this change is reflected in there. So I think it's folder or E2E folder. I forgot the name of the config and it's not auto-completing for me. So that would be Cypress tests. Something like that. I'm not sure if this is the right property, if it's E2E folder or spec folder or...
I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called now either, because I just leave it as the default.
Yeah. So if you change the name of that, you need to reflect that in the Cypress config. You'll definitely find it in the documentation what this property should be. Just right now kind of forgetting whether it's called E2E folder or spec folder or tests folder or whatever. But when you define that, Cypress will look into here and find all your tests. And then the matter of running them is just like up to you and what you set in your what you will set up for yourself in the package.json file.
Oh, and it's come back to me. So there's a spec pattern now where your folder would be defined, and that there used to be a thing called test folder before Cypress 10 and the new config. So then now your spec pattern can be configured for each testing type, and you can have whatever valid pattern you want that can include a folder path. So in your define config for each testing type, that would be how you,
All right, okay. So it would be spec pattern. And then you would define that pattern and just look into the test folder. So yeah. All right, yeah, thanks for that. Again, I forgot to share the screen like this. Spec pattern, and then whatever you need in here.
Just a glob for like, hey, here's how to find your specs. So that can also define not just the folder they're in, but what are the extensions or whatever. What's the format of the file name that you want to use? And the default is like .sci, .js or ts or whatever, but you can use the spec pattern to customize that as well.